What is meaningful success in the corporate world? Does it give us life satisfaction as we've been led to believe?
This is Redefining Success with Emma and Iona, and we're on a mission to find out. Welcome, Emma.
Welcome, Iona. Today we're interviewing Jamie Johns, who is an award-winning global franchise director, working in the consumer health industry for almost 30 years. We'll be asking him about success and what that means in the current climate today. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you.
We begin our sessions with an invitation to connect back to ourselves, to each other, and to the one life. And Iona's going to guide us through that now. So for all of you watching, if that doesn't, you're not up for that right now, then please fast forward to the discussion. If you'd like to join in, then we invite you now to close your eyes.
So as Emma's shared, the invitation is just to close your eyes and just to take a breath together, a deep breath into the body, filling up our lungs, just holding the breath at the top. And as we breathe out, just allowing that to drop us deeper into our bodies, into our relaxation. Let's take another breath in, just inviting our nervous system to relax as we come into presence with each other in the space. And we use our breath to slow us down, to self-connect, and to connect to this field that we're creating together with each other. So that whatever is shared today is received in the best way possible. And now in this place of self-connection, just taking a moment to reflect where you are in your life in terms of what success means to you. And you might want to bring in different areas of your life that are taking attention, your energy. And that might be your work, your family life, your body, your health. So all areas in your life that are important to you and that require attention. And just noticing how much energy each of those areas is getting. And if that feels balanced to you, if it feels right, or if there's any adjustments you would like to make. And what would it look like to have success at the center, to feel balanced and successful in how you're living your life, in how you're directing your energy? And just breathing that in, breathing it into your body, into your cells. As we make space today to explore the nature of success and what it means to all of us. And when you're ready, just coming back to that in breath, giving thanks to what you've received. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and return to the space.
Thanks, Iona. So, Jamie, we're really delighted to have you here today. We're wondering initially how you've experienced success over the years of being involved in the corporate world, and what your view is on it in terms of as success.
If you can imagine a bit of an S curve where you start at the beginning of your career and it takes quite a while to acclimatize to the environment and trying to sort of get a feel for what expectations are, um, and almost getting a feel for what the opportunities are, and actually making decisions about whether it's the right or wrong thing to be doing for many people. And then I think you quickly then go into a rapid career progression. Success obviously in your early stages of your career is very much around promotion. So, tangible steps up. And a lot of people in the early stages of their career, they are impatient for quick succession to quickly hop from one to two to three to four levels up. And I think that is pretty much what most people, me included at the time, would consider to be success. It's almost, real, tangible evidence of having succeeded in the role that you're in. And then I think after a period of time, at least in my experience, it tends to level off a little bit. So you're not necessarily chasing promotions because people tend to sort of naturally realize where they're comfortable in terms of their own what they're getting out of their own career. And then it tends to be more into success. I think is more about credibility amongst your peer group, in terms of being known for a particular area of expertise, for being somebody that is a sort of a source of knowledge and experience, as opposed to necessarily wanting to hunt the next level up. And that's where I am a little bit now in my career, is that I mean I feel much more, because I think when you're going through that sort of that career, those career steps, a lot of people actually don't feel particularly comfortable in their own skin, and there's that sort of. But the more years you do the same type of role, you start to feel the more knowledgeable you come, it comes a lot more naturally, and then you start to feel a lot more comfortable with what you're doing and what you're saying and how you operate. And then for me, success is actually being the person that people would come to because you're considered to be strong in a particular area. And it's less about financial or where you sit in the hierarchy of things, because all organizations are extremely hierarchical. So yeah, for me, it's been a bit of an S curve, if
So
that makes sense.
that does make sense. Would you say with the hierarchy, because when the way you're describing about going up the ladder, which is that's what's chasing the next promotion, is and then you're saying that lots of people don't actually feel particularly comfortable in their own skin. So what would that just made me think about the impact potentially on well-being. That must it feels like that would be quite a stressful kind of journey to go on. To
Yeah,
how
I
would
think
you
it,
what do
I
you
think it
think?
is because I mean, at the end of the day, uh, if you think about success coming from external recognition of where you are in an organization, so if you don't move up, that means like inherently you're not successful. So, you're continuously chasing. I mean, many people, it's not the same for everybody, but I mean, a lot of people, they're impatient to move on to the next stage for material reasons or for recognition reasons or whatever. And I think a lot of that comes down to, you're learning, it's a very sharp learning curve. I mean, you move into the next level, there is no rule book. I mean, there's certain behaviors which you need to quickly learn in terms of essentially leadership skills, managerial skills, being an authority on different topics. And because it takes a while to get, to get into that and to know what you're talking about, frankly, and to prove success in that role, it's not always a very comfortable situation to be in because you frankly aren't an authority, and it does take time to build up that knowledge and that experience. So, really only when I think you settle into the level that you're comfortable at, where you actually, you're really not wanting to, you're not going to get anything else out of moving up again. If it comes, it's fine, but it's not the thing which is pushing you. So then I think you start to, at least in my case, because I'm more self-assured about what I know and how I interact with people and collaborate with people. And when I speak, I speak with a bit more conviction now compared to, when you're at the middle of your career, and not that you're making it up, but it doesn't come as naturally. So that's why it's a little bit uncomfortable, I think, when you're going through that process, as opposed to when you've been doing the same thing for, now almost, well, I'm coming to the end of my third decade of doing this. So
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, it sounds, I mean, you've really been in the industry a long time, 30 years of going through this process of building your skills. I'm hearing that you've built your knowledge, your confidence to speak, and I imagine that must feel really good, as personal empowerment just to be in that role. And I'm curious, with you being, I would say, at the top of the ladder of having achieved that comfortableness in what you know, in being an authority in your field. I guess, what does it feel like to be there, to be having gone through this long journey, to be at that point? How does it feel? Does it feel like you've got there, you've reached the top, and that's enough?
it feels good, but it's also exhausting because I mean, again, the pressure is continuously on. And also, you can't ever really take your foot off the pedal, because it is quite a ruthless world whereby, frankly, if you don't deliver, and everyone is, judged in terms of hard deliverables and also soft deliverables. If you don't deliver, then there's little, there's there's not much, not many people be very apologetic about that. So it's exhausting, and I mean it's enjoyable because obviously, hopefully many people can end up by doing things which they're really passionate about, and in a role which you can never really be the best at it. So there's always that stuff, continuous learning. So that's the really interesting part, and which makes me feel good about doing what I do. But the pressure is always on, and I guess, when you get into your 50s, people start to slow down a little bit. And you don't have the same level of energy as you used to have. And also you can feel the talent coming up below you, who are sort of like vultures sniffing to move into your role when, as and when you move on. So yeah, I mean it is very hard work, but I think it's what motivates me is the value you get out of it. I mean, I think, unless you get value out of the role you're in and doing what you're doing, then the work itself would be almost too overwhelming, because it is very, very intense all the time. And it's again, as technology has evolved, you're always on. And now it's no longer email or text, it's now Teams. And so your Teams thing is pinging away continuously, your email's pinging, and then of course you've got back-to-back meetings. And then of course you've got to do the actual work outside that time. So it's relentless and it's intensive, but it's also fun, and quite if you hopefully, I'm personally inspired by what I do, and so that's what keeps me doing what I'm doing.
So have you seen that change a lot over the years since you first went into the corporate world? Has that freneticism and that intensity changed, particularly with
100%.
has it?
Completely, yeah. I mean, if you think back to the way things were in the in the early nine or the late 90s, sorry, when email was just starting up, and just the now the ease with which people can see your availability, and you just get your time just gets blocked. You almost lose control of your time. Of course, you can try. There are ways to overcome that. But it's just the fact there are several different channels now of communication. And I think also the boundaries between, outside work and inside work are now, because everyone's now working from home. So, there's no like clocking, you just shut your computer down and go home and that was it. And then you commute back. Now, if you're working from home, the expectation is that the phone will ring 7, 8, sometimes 9 o'clock in the evening, and you're there, you're always there. You're there on call all the time. And so, some organize, some like the US, for example, where I used to work, it was quite normal there to be on call all weekend, especially if something had to be done the following week. So taking time out is you've got to be very disciplined about literally carving out your own time to stop that from becoming, taking over your entire life. And it's easy for the very committed that are not that resilient to easily burn out because we're not machines, we're humans, and so it's very, very difficult. It can be those people which are very driven by wanting to succeed and the rest of it. They can be there are many instances where people are quite susceptible to burnout, and it can cause weeks, months of trying to recover from that in certain instances.
Yeah, I can imagine you've mentioned the pressure of people coming up under you who want your position and this need to always be expanding to be up with technology, be up with the latest expansion of how the role's growing and developing and the company's growing and developing. So I'm really feeling that sense of pressure that you're talking to keep ahead of the game, it feels like. And then on the other hand, you're speaking to the need for time out to balance that with replenishing yourself. And I'm wondering how that even happens when you say, okay, I'm going to take this time out, and yet there's still those wolves at the door saying, well, maybe someone's, doing my job or getting ahead of me in terms of the latest tech, and am I going to be left behind? So I can almost feel those wolves at the door, even when one may choose to take time out. And that must be really tricky. I don't know if you can relate to that
Mhm.
at all.
Well, I guess I mean you have to be. Yeah, I mean I think that the other thing I guess when you're in sort of like early midway through your career, I think a lot of people, me included, used to get very anxious around about what others in your working environment thought about you if you weren't continuously available to do whatever is required all the time. And I think the more you go on, I mean, now I mean, if someone tries to contact me 7 o'clock with the weekend or whatever, I'm simply not available, nor will I even bat an eyelid about it. Because you just actually learn over the years that it's not really going to change anything, whether you're available or not. I mean, it doesn't, the world's not going to stop if someone's not available. So I'm not so concerned about that now, and especially because it's very important. What I really struggle with most of the time is learning how to maintain enough energy to be able to give to my partner in the evening, for example, or my friends and family at the weekend, some more of myself. Because, especially for those people that are, instinctively very driven by what they do, you end up by giving so much during the daytime and then having nothing to give in the evening. And that's, you could be lucky if you're actually with someone who's very accommodating and understanding about that, or you may not be. But it's also a bit of it's not a particularly healthy existence to not be able to, be able to engage in life outside work. And that's definitely the trade-off when it comes to this. But to answer your question, I mean, based for me, I'm not concerned about the fact that yes, you are contactable all the time because, I decided that I'll set my own boundaries, nor will anything catastrophic happen if I don't respond immediately to every little sort of little request I get to step in.
So if you when you were talking about burnout and not having enough energy necessarily for friends and family in the evening or weekends, what what would you, because we're coming from a place where we think there's an imbalance, which is what Iona and I have been observing just through people we've spoken to, and thinking we could potentially bring something here. What do you think needs changing or is missing? What I mean, and yeah, how would that be? What would that look like?
I mean, I think it's going to be a bit of a cultural shift, to be honest with you, in most organizations. Um, to I mean, a lot of organizations will talk about well-being, but there's a lot of say and not do. So there's a lot of lovely PowerPoint presentations about importance of, how to strike the right balance. Yet, in complete, contradiction to that is the fact that you always, the demands to deliver and stuff are continuously there. So there's a big gap between the say and the do, I think, from a cultural perspective, with a lot of organizations. So the big thing, I think, actually is to actually put practical steps in to really discourage people from, not getting that balance right. And I think the other thing is just an awareness amongst individuals of actually when you're just listen to your body. Like the moment you start to feel exhausted, where you can't process decisions particularly easily, and it feels like when you're walking through treacle and just to get through the week, that's when the self-awareness of that I think is also really important. So yeah, I think that there is obviously a wider awareness and recognition now about the importance of well-being, but I think you're always going to get that in the face of businesses are always going for ever, more and more stuff being delivered faster in a much more efficient way. And that's the drive that when you work in an organization, that's what it's like. So whether that's ever going to fundamentally move away, because these are profit generating organizations who, obviously want to be the most productive with the least amount of resources. So that is something that is the very nature of the environment that I work in, at least anyway.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. And I'm wondering if you had a magic wand and could change it, what would you do? How would that look like?
Um, well, I used to work for another company where they had it was almost actually part of the weekly agenda. The once or twice a week, everyone was actually encouraged to sort of attend meditation sessions, whereby you actually learn the just taking time out together as a group, and almost for that becoming like completely and utterly part and parcel of the working week. So I mean, it'd be brave for an organization to do that. And also I think for it to become like normalized and not to be, because I mean not everyone's comfortable with even talking about wellness or getting in touch with their headspace or their heart or their body or whatever. So, even for people to not feel weird or that like that it's or being considered the sort of an alternative lifestyle that's not part of the mainstream. I think the more you can normalize that and have organizations that actually are, you know, proactively bringing that into the weekly routine, I think then that something might shift. Otherwise, it's sort of everyone down to figuring it out for themselves.
Yeah, I'm curious, how do you feel that would benefit the environment and the business and the teams if that were to be a regular thing?
Mm. Honestly, it would, there's huge benefits to people feeling that better well-being, but I think there are also benefits in terms of productivity as well, because ultimately the more clarity people have in their own minds, and you get clarity from obviously taking time out and meditating and stuff like that, then the more efficient people are in terms of what they do. Like the easier it is to think up ideas and to structure your thoughts and be and to listen more and to be respectful of other people around you. So, there are obviously there are a number of benefits, I think. Most of all, people being able to just do their job better because they're able to think clearer and just do a better job all around.
Yeah, I think that exactly speaks to what Emma and I have been feeling, because we come from that deep feminine, deep listening place of going in a lot and listening a lot and connecting. And it is the place where creativity comes from and fresh ideas come from, and we replenish and we connect. So it's really beautiful to hear you speak of that and wanting more of that. And I really feel that in my heart that that would bring the balance that is so sorely missing in the business world. And I love that you say, it actually increases productivity and ideas, and it's good for business. And it's almost counterintuitive, isn't it, to thinking that we need to go faster and faster to deliver more. But actually, when we slow down, that's when we really get the edge to come up with those new ideas and to solutions that will get us there faster in a way.
Yeah, I think the other thing to maybe mention is that, in big organizations, you tend to get a lot of enormous egos, huge people that are very sort of, there's a few quite a number of narcissists who are behave in an extremely odd way, and very aloof, not very good at connecting, think they're much more important than who they are. I mean, it's the same in every single organization. And I think that, the ability of people just to be able to sort of, just step out of their ego for a little bit, just makes people more pleasant to work with, regardless of whether they're good or bad at their job, because we all just go to work to earn a living. Some of us do it some people do it for more purposeful reasons, for whatever reason you're doing it. But I think every organization I've ever worked in, there's just been so many big egos, and these are the people that be nice to be able to not have to deal with that all the time. So I don't know whether that's actually that may be another way of finding people just to sort of like, step out of their ego a little bit
Yeah, that's food
to
for
other
thought.
things. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that I mean, do you do you think with that kind of personality that they would be willing to take some time out for meditation or to I don't yeah, I'm just wondering about that. Is it
No, I think it's in a way it's almost again it's bringing awareness of the need for people to think about this is there's the importance of getting the balance right, just not finding ways to bring in good habits into your life that enable you to not only think clearer and work better and yes be more creative, and to be work more efficiently because it thinks that stuff comes to you more naturally, but also just to recognize that everyone's coming to work to everyone's stuck together at work all the time, and actually by putting some of these practices in, it makes everyone more pleasant to work with. And I think that's the thing is, you can't choose who you work with a lot of the time. And there are some lovely people, and but there are some other people that you think, goodness me, like why are you behaving like that? So, hopefully some of the bringing introducing some of these practices into the work environment actually would hopefully reduce some of those types of behaviors as well.
Yeah, what I'm really with is how, as human beings, we all want to, well, I'm imagining to feel really good, to live a really meaningful life, is to tap into what we're here for, to tap into what really turns us on, what we really enjoy, and to be working to become good at that. Like you say, to become an expert in what do you enjoy, what feels good to you. And what I'm hearing when you're speaking is making space for everyone to feel valued and to be able to have that time to connect to their piece that they want to bring, their genius, and to really trust that when we get ego out of the picture and we all drop into a place of connection and heart beyond the egos, then it feels like the space is created for everyone to meet on equal ground, where we can all recognize that we're all unique individuals and we all have pieces to bring. And in that spaciousness, I can feel that there would be more space for cohesion and being able to value each other, which can only lead to a stronger corporation, a stronger team. Know what you feel about that?
No, I totally agree. I mean, there are some people who are brilliant at the very top, and they just don't have, and they're just extremely authentic, very kind people, but brilliant at what they do. And there are some people lower down who also brilliant at what they do, but they've got the most horrendous egos, where they just think that I'm just so much bigger and better than you. And that's just the reality of working in a large organization. Um, so yeah, that's I mean, my point is that you don't need to have to behave like that in order to be able to be successful. And I also agree that essentially when you look up to people who don't have those big egos as being very inspirational. And actually, they get the most out of people because people feel comfortable being themselves and saying what they think. And again, that sort of brings a lot more positive energy to the organization, I think. So, yeah, I don't know whether there's a role for some of the things you're bringing to be able to address that, because I think that also, that would also make a big difference, and just in terms of the way that people feel about coming to work every single day.
Yeah, I think this is what we've been thinking, and with different people we've spoken to, there's this similar theme is coming up. It's quite there's the linear passage to the top to get to the top, and some people are quite ruthless with that and will just get there no matter what. And and we our vision is that it would be more of a circle, and that as Iona was saying, everyone brings their gifts, their talents, their strengths, and that's part of the whole, rather than people just fighting to get those particular jobs. And actually, what might happen is if everyone is sitting at the table, so to speak, metaphorically and in reality, that the picture grows in a much more fruitful, bountiful way for everyone, not
Mm,
just for where everybody is sitting in their particular places within the organizations.
mm,
And so that's we would, yeah, that's what we're wanting to bring. We would, I suppose, we would describe it as being heart centered.
mm,
Yeah, rather than following more of a mind led approach.
mm,
Because I
mm,
think overall, when we look at it globally, the way that organizations have, well, what's happened is that, yeah, like you were saying earlier, that it's profit led, and a lot of people that have fallen by the wayside, as you know, we've discovered
mm,
on this journey so far. And then what happens to them? Are they just, because they're not productive anymore for a few months, or
mm,
if their mental health really suffers, it could be even longer. So if
mm,
that means they're not productive, and so then what happens to them with their jobs, their families, the repercussions?
mm,
Whereas if they're in a space that's held, they feel safe and comfortable to bring what they bring, share what they want to share,
mm,
and everyone knows that we're all bringing something amazing.
mm.
Then if the times are a bit harder, they'll be held in that space and it will be safe.
Yeah. exactly. And I think, as you were saying earlier on, I mean, I think the more you can normalize that, and actually, I mean, it's going to be a massive, it's quite a leap to get there, I think. But for organizations to recognize the importance of, you know, building that into the culture
Mm.
and putting practical steps into place to address, you know, obviously on a daily basis, the way people feel about themselves and others, and in the over the other end of the spectrum is really just people not realizing that it's just time to take your foot off the pedal and avoid some of the implications of not looking after yourself. So yeah, I think there's a big opportunity to do that, but it is quite a shift from where most organizations are today.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, Jamie. I think it's you know, what we've spoken to, and I don't know, it would be good to have your view on this, is that at the root of that energy that drives, that doesn't want to take its foot off the pedal, is a fear of being left behind, a fear of becoming redundant, a fear of survival, really. If I take my foot off the pedal, others are going to beat me to it, and we're going to become redundant, and we're all going to lose our jobs and starve. And basically, that fear of survival, we feel it underpins that drive. And I really feel that it's a false fear, because when you do take time to come back to the self, you are able to address that fear directly. You're able to meet that fear and create space for it. And what happens is that fear gets transformed and space is created. And it's in that process of bringing that transformation that you create the space for the circle to happen, for others to get round and to believe, hey, if we slow down, we're not going to die. We're not going to become redundant. Actually, we're creating more space for more of us to be here, for more creativity, more productivity, but in a way that's much more connected, balanced, and meaningful. And actually, it's going to give us the opposite. And it's almost by chasing that drive, that fear, almost creates or brings about your worst night, what you do fear. But when you come back to yourself and you address the fear and you bring the transformation, I really feel that businesses that are going to do that and choose that are going to be the businesses that survive into the future. And I'd love to hear your view on that.
No, I agree. I think that it's not it's there's for me it's twofold. Is think of it as a carrot and a stick. So what you're talking about there, I think, is more like the stick, whereby you feel like you need to keep going, otherwise it's all gonna, and that's when the anxiety kicks in. A lot of that stuff, is in the mind about the worst case scenario. But actually, there's also the carrot of why do you push yourself really hard? And it could either be the short-term promotion, but it could also be, sounds a bit odd, but it's almost like the endorphin rush of actually just being celebrated for having done something really well. And that is quite a powerful sort of or what's the word I'm looking for? Not potion or whatever, but I mean it's like a powerful incentive to really, really, keep going at it again and again and again and again and again. Because when you get that, you've landed something really good, and then you're recognized for doing that, it's a great feeling. It really is. And actually, that's what motivates a lot of people to go the extra mile. There's not necessarily a financial reward from doing that. But there's almost like, actually you're getting something out of it for yourself. You feel good about doing it for yourself. So I agree with you on the first one. I mean, definitely there is the fear of, what happens if, I get to the end of the year and I don't do this, that, and the other, then I'm out. And then it'll dry up and then I've lost my house. And, you think of the worst case scenario. And that obviously is a motivator to keep you going, which is not a good thing. You're right. I mean, I think if you're able to lose a lot of that, actually you get a better quality of life. But there's also, I think, the clarity you get from a better sort of sense of well-being enables you to do a really good, to perform better, and therefore ideally get more success, because actually you're able to think of more interesting and different novel ways of getting stuff done and actually making a difference. And that's also quite powerful in terms of the
Yeah,
work environment.
yeah, thanks. And just to clarify, because we interviewed another couple who are very much leading from this heart-led space as they're developing their business. And they said, that it's not about not working hard. It isn't about not having those bursts of productivity where you got to sit down and do those 12 hours because it just needs to be done. There is that energy, that motivation, but they say the difference is that there'll also be times where they know it's just downtime now and that's
Mhm.
completed, and there's a balance, an awareness of the balance. And also what's behind it is they both know why they are doing it, what's at their core, which is their deep purpose, their creativity for what they want to create and what they believe in. And I
Mm.
love that, to put that at the core of why we do things. And it that tends to give us the energy and motivation to do those big pushes, which don't or won't lead to burnout when we have that awareness of balance.
I completely agree with that. Yeah. So I think that's why it's very important to maybe not love what you do, but to actually extract some value out of it beyond the material, and to get some form of intellectual stimulation, or to learn something, or to have, to achieve something that yeah, and to do it better than yeah, no, just to do it really, really well. It's not a question of being better, but I know I definitely agree with that for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're wanting to bring is this idea that you could, yeah, it is, there is hard work involved, but we can have it all in the sense of we can feel satisfied with our well-being. Our mental health can be really good. We can have a lovely family life if that's what we want, or whatever we want to do in our free time. That it's all possible. We don't have to be just trying to hit the next goal at the expense of our own well-being. That's really where we're,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or, it's quite normal for people to get to the end of the week and then they spend the whole weekend recovering
covering.
to
Yeah.
just about get ready to go back and start again all over on a Monday. So that's quite common. You wake up on a Sunday, Saturday morning and with the most immense feeling of exhaustion that starts to dissipate in a sort of a Sunday afternoon. So you're just about ready to kick off again. And it's not unusual for people to feel that.
Go
Yeah,
for it.
so Jamie, we kind of coming to the end of our time, but I'd really like to hear just any last thoughts that you have. If you really just want to speak to the business world and what you want to say from after 30 years of really being deeply imbued in this journey and committed to it, I'd love to give you that space to do that now.
Yeah, I think it's a question of being a little bit brave, to be honest, and to be honest about the fact that, it doesn't matter whether you're at the beginning, the middle, or the end of your career, whatever type of work you're in. Um, it's impossible to go through life and to be in the working world with all the pressures that come to it and not be impacted somehow. So to be honest about that and actually say, I have this technique or this technique, be it meditation or listening to your body or whatever, and actually that really helps me, then I think to for that to become more part of the open dialogue amongst people in the work environment, then I think it's only for the better. But it takes a brave soul to do that. But actually, I've listened to people who are very senior in my organization who actually have said, look, actually, frankly, I struggle with mental health, but I find that meditation really helps. I take some time out. And, you'd think actually if I was in his position, I'd be feeling uncomfortable saying that. But actually, when you've got people who are on the receiving end of that message, especially when it's someone at a quite a senior level, it's a very inspiring and powerful thing to hear. And I think the more that's how you start to normalize it, is actually by starting at the top and making that normal, then it trickles down as opposed to trying to do it, I think, from the bottom up. So that's been my experience on a few occasions.
Wow. Thank you. So we need to go straight in at the top with our work.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it sets the behaviors, good and bad behaviors. I've seen other, very senior people that behave really badly, and you got all the underlings trying to replicate the same bad behavior.
Okay.
So it's about setting the right behaviors at the top, and then making that normal, and then making it acceptable, and then I think other people follow.
Yeah. Great.
I love that. So
Yeah, me too.
we're hearing a real call here to
Mm.
leaders, to
Mm.
you business leaders out there, to lead, to be the ones that stand for what you need and what your teams need. And you know what? There's some relief that I feel hearing you, Jamie, because I think everyone in the business world wants to hear this. They want someone to stand up and say it's okay to take time out. It's okay to care for your well-being. It's okay to create that space where we can really feel and connect and allow the bubbling ground of our creativity and what's here. So, a call to leaders. That's a beautiful message that we're sending out, that you're sending out. And I want to thank you for joining us today. We are continuing this process of looking at what it means to redefine success, to move from this place of pushing and burnout, and to make more space for the human being, for more of us to meet in that place. So that is what Emma and I are on a mission to do. If you've enjoyed what we've shared today, please like and subscribe. You can do that on our YouTube channel or our Facebook group. And as always, we would like to end with just coming back to the heart and connection as Emma leads us through a heart meditation process.
Thank you, Iona. Thank you, Jamie. So if you'd like to join us in this closing meditation, then please now close your eyes and take a big deep breath into your heart center. And as you breathe in, you can imagine that your breath is filling your heart. It's filling your lungs and softening you into the space that you're in. And just let your breath flow gently and deeply, and let your body soften and be held by the space that you're in. And let your heart expand with every breath. And with this gentle expansion, imagine what success means for you. Maybe it's in the form of a color, and imagine that in your heart expanding, or a shape or a form or a word. And just imagine a little bit out of the ordinary that you could breathe this in. You could breathe in this color or this word or this form, this shape, and it could fill your heart. And it could bring you total abundance, all the abundance that you've been dreaming of, longing for. And that this flows with ease into a beautiful well within you that is overflowing and abundant. The abundance of success, of meaningful success, of well-being, of financial ease and flow, of joy, inspiration, purpose, hope. Whatever your words are, let them flow. And let yourself breathe deeply into this space of this beautiful flow, so that your heart beats with clarity and love and joy. And that deep within you know that meaningful success is abundant within you and infinitely. And just take a moment to breathe with that. And then in your own time, open your eyes and come back to the space that you're in. Well, thank you everyone. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Ioma. Thank me. And thank you all for watching. And until next time, with so much love, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.